This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Good morning, it's First Alert Weather Breakdown time. Hello there. Look, I try something new. I like to try something new most days, especially here on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Anyways, welcome on. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. For those of you just joining me for the very first time, trust me, I usually don't show up that creepy on camera, just coming out of the blue, essentially. Anyways, thank you for joining us. We're not here. We are here to talk about weather, not to just play around with the camera, so to speak. Anyways, we just try things fresh out, just like it's gonna be fresh here with the sunshine here for today. Now, we've had some sunshiny days behind us, especially in the morning hours, but this time we have the sunshine actually carrying us throughout the day. How about that? It will carry on throughout the afternoon for both today and tomorrow, but unfortunately, there's rain coming back here for the end of the week. So I will say there's a forecast for everybody because it seems like once we get into summer, we get into the groove of things around here for the Arklatex. There's only two different weather patterns around here, which is true. There's first, lots of sunshine and lots of incredibly hot air. And that's what we're settling along with here for today. There's that, or there's hot air. I would still call it hot temperatures, but just not intensely hot, and it's rain. So it's either hot and rainy, or it's very hot and it's sunny. And trust me, for those of you trying to look forward to cool air, cool in quotations, as in, you know, the cooler side of summer temperatures, so to speak, we have that. We have that forecast for you ahead in just a little bit. So in just a couple days. So hey, I know you prefer one or the other. I kind of wish it was cool and sunny. That'd be great. But unfortunately, it's either or. So either you like the sunshine, so you'd like days like today, or my point is you'd like cooler temperatures, which is coming up in days ahead. And you'll be looking forward to that. Anyways, let's get to the rundown of what we're talking with here for the First Alert with a breakdown. Oh, man. All right. It is still Monday. We're still getting into the groove of things. So, essentially, we're talking about your local hot forecast here for the day today. Again, today's pattern is all talking about the sunshine and the hot temperatures around here. No chance of any rain here for today, which means we are talking about how hot we will get here for this afternoon. More on that, and obviously more on the local rain conditions, which are going to be returning here in a couple days. This is going to be coming up in just a little bit. Essentially, we go into a full, in-depth breakdown of your forecast here over the next 7 days. That dives into so much more. We dive into so many more graphics and things like that going over your local forecast. On top of that, we always have an exclusive content feature here for today on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. We're going to be differentiating the differences, essentially explaining the differences in flash flood problems. Now, what I mean by problems is essentially the products issued by the National Weather Service. There's 4 different kinds. There's advisories, there's warnings, there's watches, there's emergencies. All 4 different products can be issued that the National Weather Service can issue to tell us issues about flash flooding, essentially. Is it ongoing? Is it going to be in the future? What's the degree to ongoing? Is it little? Is it minor? Is it major? What are we talking about here? We're going to explain all that in just a little bit because I know that's a little bit of a hot topic, especially you could stem this all the way back from the Central Texas flooding as well. Even though we've had a flash flood emergency earlier this year in the Arklatex, believe it or not. We're going to go over, again, the differences and what is all happening, and how can we know exactly what the National Weather Service is trying to project message-wise to us in each of those different products that the National Weather Service gives out to us. Again, we're going to go into that a little bit later on down the road, but that's after the local forecast. Beautiful blue sky and sunshine here throughout the Arklatex here for you. Again, welcome in. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Evan Thomason here, starting out your local forecast. It is a beautiful blue sky, sunny day in downtown Shreveport. And meanwhile, in Texarkana, we're chilling with the bugs. Hello, buddy. Now, I will say he's out and about because there is sunshine and there is no rain for him to worry about whatsoever. Just a little tiny cumulus clouds there, but no rain to speak of at all on our current radar, which is nice. So let's get into our weather headlines. And I've kind of already shown you this in the most vague terms I can already, in saying that today and tomorrow, it's a trend that continues on, at least for a little bit, is the hot, sunny weather. Now, I will say, if you remember last week we had this same pattern stuck with us. And what I mean by stuck with us is we were hanging around with it from Monday through Thursday of last week before any bits of rain came in starting on Friday. And even then, it was just a little bit. So the point is, this week's trend of hot, sunny weather isn't going to last as long. It lasts today, it lasts tomorrow, and then starting on Wednesday and carrying us throughout most of the second half of the work week, we are dealing with afternoon storms, which is going to try and cool us down. And I actually have brought out the word cool for you and for the weekend. Now, Evan, will it be actually cool this weekend? No. So then why are you presenting that on the graphic in front of me? Well, the point is we are cooler than average. We can actually hang around with cooler than average temperatures in terms of summer standards here for this weekend. And with that is going to bring probably a continued rain chance as well. This 7-day forecast, even though we're starting out nice and sunny here for the day today, we have a good amount of rain filled within that 7-day forecast that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Temperatures 90 in Texarkana, 88 in Shreveport, 91 already in Natchitoches. Keep in mind that is not the feels like temperature. 103 already in Texarkana, 100 in Shreveport. Checks time. It is 10:37. I don't have a watch on my wrist. I was just looking at the bottom side of my computer there. The point is, it's not even. Well, I mean, I guess you could say it's the early part of lunchtime. And we still have like 6-7 hours to continue to heat us up. The heat of the afternoon isn't even upon us yet. Yet, really, the peak heat that is. So again, it's already feeling like it's 100 in Shreveport, 103 in Texarkana currently, as we are really gonna be. I'm just sorry. I got flashbacks, and I guess I'm seeing into my future as well. Heading home, I got some afternoon chores to do here for the day today outside. Yikes. Sorry, just not looking forward to that underneath this heat and this high-pressure dome, which is going to reign supreme on top of the Arklatex over the next 2 days. So that's why we have incredibly hot temperatures. So a high-pressure system coming out of the south. We're talking out of, like, Mexico, Central America, diving up northward. Huge ridge of high pressure. You could say it's on place over the entire United States, but it's centralized, the center part and the most powerful part of that high-pressure system right on top of us. Right on top of us here in the Arklatex. That's going to give us incredibly limited rain chances, which are pretty much zero, at least today and tomorrow. And then all the way, and then we finally see the high-pressure system dissolving, essentially, which isn't going to immediately cool us off at all. But look at what's setting up shop up to our north. Low-pressure center, an actual cold front. Now, we usually don't talk about cold fronts at all in summer. They're usually blocked out by an oppressive high-pressure system, which we've been talking about in weeks prior. That's what's been giving us our hot, sunny summer days. But a rare summer cold front. Now, I will say this does not directly impact us. If you look at the kind of trajectory of that front, it goes just off to our north. It's mainly hitting areas of Oklahoma and Arkansas, but not hitting those portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas in the Arklatex itself. So, essentially, you could say we're getting the very tail end of this cold front right here, which is, yes, going to cool us off. But the thing is, what I'm trying to get at is it's not going to cool us off as much as spots to our north and to our east are going to cool off. They're cooling off just, by a good 20 to 25 degrees between now and later on this week. Areas such as, say, Nashville, St. Louis, Memphis even. You could even say a good portion of Alabama, too. Much cooler air in those kinds of spots. Meanwhile, Arklatex, again, we cool things off a little bit. Let me show you in a different light here by actually showing you the temperatures happening each and every day. And, of course, as I say that, the graphic doesn't work with the colors. I always forget that with this map. Anyways, the point is, if you can visualize it, the cool air is just trying to nudge that hot temperature, those hot temperatures out just a little bit here to cool us off just a smidge here, just in time for this coming weekend, actually. So we do have a heat advisory. Again, that's in effect for the entire Arklatex here for the day today. That is back, and that should be back here for tomorrow. There's even been hints from the National Weather Service that we may have an excessive heat warning, which is a step above a heat advisory. Just so you know, we haven't had an excessive heat warning at all this year yet, which if we bring that into the Arklatex tomorrow, again, it'll be our very first one. It would be the hottest day of the year, which is definitely possible here for tomorrow. In fact, temperatures are expected to increase into Tuesday, believe it or not, as we have a good amount of change across our 7-day forecast. But let's bring in the heat, and then immediately following that off with rain the day after, and then that's going to affect the temperatures. We'll get into the exact timeline on that in just a moment. But temperatures for this afternoon, highs up. These are actual highs. 99 today in Texarkana. Keep in mind, it's already 90, I believe, in Texarkana for the current temperatures that we just went over a little bit. 95 in Longview, 96 in Dangerfield, 96 in Carthage, across northwest Louisiana, 99 in both Shreveport, and 98 in Natchitoches, 94 in Homer, 95 in Mendon. For the feels like temperatures for the afternoon, those get up to the 105 to 110 range here later on today. That's really going to be some oppressive heat, and if not, it gets worse. I will say it gets worse for the central portion of the Arklatex. If you remember looking and staring like at specifically Shreveport, we go from 107 to 109. For Marshall, we go to 105 to 108 between this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon. So essentially just cranking up the heat just by another 2 to 3 degrees, which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, isn't much, but it's technically speaking even worse than what we should be feeling out this afternoon. That's why we might need the excessive heat warning necessary here for your Tuesday, and that's why we're threatening, again, the hottest day of the year here for tomorrow. Now, that case could be argued again here for Wednesday. Highs still pretty much around 100 degrees for the next 3 days. Then we have the cool down. 96 on Thursday. It starts on Thursday. Then we cool off even more into Friday down to 91 degrees. And just, we continue to stay with those highs cooler than average here heading into the weekend. It's obviously our average high right around 95 degrees. So getting down to 90, 10 degrees cooler than what it will be over the next 3 days. So it's something. Would I say, my point to earlier, would I say that 90 degrees in the afternoon is a cool day? No. But in the grand scheme of things, yes, it is a cool day. All right, Future Track, let's talk rain now. Again, next couple of days, we are rain-free. That's going to be great to see here for the afternoon hours. It's going to continue into tonight and the next couple of mornings as well. Here for your Tuesday, if anything, maybe a few rain showers in some areas of Arkansas outside of the Arklatex, but really none of it should be in the Arklatex here for Tuesday. But if you notice, this kind of starts a trend. So we start off with a rain 2 hour east here for Monday and Tuesday, but then it rolls back into the Arklatex here, maybe even a stray shower for Wednesday morning, but that leads to quite a number of storms popping off here for Wednesday afternoon. Now, keep in mind, these are like some popcorn-type storms that can happen anywhere around the Arklatex here for Wednesday afternoon before getting more storms in each and every afternoon. That first Wednesday is going to kind of spark a rainy trend that continues on and on. We'll show you that here in our long-term future tracks. The next 2 days, nice and dry. Then the rain comes in for Wednesday, and then it happens consistently Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday. I will say I have noticed with these future tracks more rain in pushing into areas of northwest Louisiana and southwestern Arkansas first, meaning it pushes into those areas for Wednesday. In East Texas, such as Mount Pleasant, Carthage, Longview, Nacogdoches, we could hold off the rain chances off there until Friday. There's some issues with some of the heat, the intense heat especially, still remaining in that area until that rain comes in here for Friday. So some of that oppressive heat and humidity and sunshine still continues to last more than just Tuesday, and it could last until Thursday in those certain areas until they finally we get in on the widespread rain. I should say we get in on the storms rolling into the entire region, definitely by Friday and heading into the weekend. So Again, those daily afternoon storm chances do come back here for the entire second half of the work week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But at least start off the work week nice and dry. So if you need any yard work to be done, you got 2 days to do so. If you do it in the morning, maybe tomorrow morning, that would be great. Maybe even Wednesday morning before it starts raining Wednesday afternoon. That would also be cool too. But the point is, rain's not going to be gone for long. Here's that 7-day forecast here for you. Highs around 100 degrees over the next 3 days. Again, highs around 99 today, up to 101 here for Tuesday, and continuing to increase and ramp up the temperatures by about 2 to 3 degrees more. Highs still stay around 100 degrees, it looks like, for Wednesday, despite bringing in the rain chance back on that day. What that tells me is essentially we're still continuing to see the heat building into the afternoon, at least for Wednesday, before the storms come in. The storms we sparked in the afternoon because of that heating, and then that storm coverage from Wednesday kind of puts a damper on how much we heat up the environment every day after that. We start cooling down behind that little tail end of the cold front that we went over. 96 on Thursday, 91 for a high then on Friday, and we're down to 90 by Saturday before it's showing any signs of increasing the temperature back up in the other direction. 92 on Sunday. And it is expected probably to be even hotter here for next work week. As for those rain chances, again, just daily afternoon storm chances. I'm looking mainly at Wednesday and Friday, but that could also definitely happen on Thursday and Saturday as well. There's some signs of us finally drying out by Sunday and next week, but that's still a stretch of 3, 4, maybe even 5 days where we're hanging around with consistent afternoon storm chances. We'll see closer to the weekend what's going to happen because it's kind of running a fine line between the rain showers of the end of the week and the dry conditions of next week. So we'll see. We'll obviously keep your first alert. We have this first alert with a breakdown just so you know every single weekday at 10:30 to always keep you updated on the latest. Hopefully you enjoyed the full local forecast. All right, coming up next, we're going to explain something that's been a little bit of a question mark for many people this year, which is how do I know what is the National Weather Service trying to tell me with all these issuings of something called a flash flood? What's a flash flood emergency? What's a flash flood warning? What's a flash flood advisory? What's a flash flood watch? We're going to differentiate and explain the difference between all 4 of those things in detail, try to get your mind at ease about it, and try to give you the very latest and let you know the differences. Again, coming up after a quick commercial break, I'm going to take a shake. That's a word. I'm going to take a little break. We'll be back right after this. Welcome on back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Again, thanks for joining us here for the day today. Really appreciated the crowd, especially for those of you on YouTube that I can actually see some viewership numbers, things like that. And you guys can always chat with me live. Hi. Anyways, thanks very much for watching the full local forecast. Next one of those on the First Alert Weather Breakdown will be for tomorrow. But we still have our exclusive content here for the day today, which is talking about flash flood products. When the National Weather Service issues a flash flood watch, what is the difference between that and a flash flood warning? Or what is a flash flood advisory? What is a flash flood emergency? What is the difference? Doesn't flash flood emergency and flash flood warning give off the same thing? Well, it kind of should. Not going to lie, but there's still some differences, essentially, and the main differences is you want to ask yourself the question, is it happening now? Which it's either happening now or it's happening later. That's the first question you want to ask. And the second one is, how much flash flooding is occurring? As in, like, the degree to how bad is it? Is it minor? Is it kind of medium flash flooding? There's a little bit of it around, a good bit of it around. Or is it catastrophic, which in our central Texas flooding case obviously was, and there was issued a flash flood emergency, just to give you a hint. There was a flash flood emergency issued, just to give you a hint as to what a flash flood emergency is. Again, we'll go over this right now. So, flash flood products issued by the National Weather Service. Go over it one by one because there are 4 different ones. You see those 4 boxes for you there? First one, and probably easiest to explain, is the watch. Because it is the only thing, specifically a flash flood watch, it is the only product that issues something for the future. The rest of the 3 products are ongoing. They say flash flooding is happening now, at this instant. Flash flood watch is a flood could happen. Emphasis on the word could. All right? This is like a could or like a likely thing. Flood will likely happen, but it's in the future. It's future tense. And usually the product will say, well, the flash flood watch is, now don't take this literally, this is not happening here in the article text, but say the flash flood, if a flash flood watch would be issued now, it would be issued for like a day or 2 down the road. It'd be a flash flood watch in effect for all of Tuesday and Wednesday until 8 p.m. It's not. Okay, let me first of all disclaimer that, but my point in trying to get out to you is a flash flood watch is issued for issues that the National Weather Service thinks they're going to have to deal with either, in days down the road or hours down the road, essentially. So watching out for flash flood potentially happening or likely happening. So again, it's the easiest out of the 4 because it's the only one. It's the only product where the National Weather Service says, okay, this is going to happen in the future. The rest of the 3 are ongoing issues. They're happening now. Let's start with the flash flood advisory, which everybody doesn't really know too much about because I think the most common flash flood product is the flash flood warning, which we'll go over in just a moment. But essentially, advisory is kind of a step down from what a flash flood warning is. It's a flash flood advisory, which means there's a little bit of flood ongoing. There's been a little bit of some pulling up of some waters, a little bit of some puddles on the roadway, that kind of thing. It's nothing too bad. It's not street flooding. It's not catastrophic flooding that's moving entire homes down the road. It's essentially, you might get your feet wet if you step in some puddles out the door. And to be fair, sometimes they issue advisories for things that could get worse. They could upgrade an advisory to, say, a warning. Warning is like a step above. It's some flood is ongoing. For example, we've had plenty of flash flood warnings issued for the downtown Shreveport and Bossier area. At kind of the peak of where everybody knows there's flash flooding issues going on, meaning there is street flooding happening. That's underneath a flash flood warning. There's street flooding going on. It could stall cars. That's why it's a flash flood warning. It's essentially the same as, take a tornado warning. A tornado warning is a tornado is ongoing. Flash flood is a flash flood is ongoing. Advisory is kind of, again, as I said, like the baby version of it. There's like, it could be there's a little bit of it. There's a little bit of some pooling. There's a little bit of some puddles around, but it's not the step of a warning, which again could stall cars. There's essentially a few feet of some warning found on some of those roadways. You don't want to walk out in it, so to speak. That's where you want to try to keep yourself inside, essentially. All right. There's no need to travel on the roadways essentially during a flash flood warning unless you have to. But then if you have to, just be careful that you don't run into some of those roadways where you can't see the bottom and then your car gets stalled, essentially. All right, last flash flood product to go over, the emergency. This is the top tier flash flooding. This is even more than a flash flood warning. This gets rarely issued. It's just like how there's a tornado emergency. There is technically a tornado emergency. The National Weather Service can issue that. Essentially what tornado emergency means is, just to go in tornado products real quick, it means a major tornado has been confirmed and it's been sighted. Everybody knows it is physically there rather than just radar confirmed. Essentially what a flash flood emergency is major flooding ongoing. This is the kind of flooding that goes beyond just the flooding streets. This goes into potentially flooding homes, flooding businesses, flooding out rivers, changing the landscape around, that kind of stuff. We did have a flash flood emergency earlier this year in Texarkana. For those of you in Texarkana that remember, I believe it was April 4th. It happened in the late night hours and overnight hours almost, when rain was just stuck in place and we had almost 8 inches of rain. Don't quote me on that, but it was multiple inches of rain. The point is, in the late night hours, the Texarkana police had to do multiple water rescues, meaning it wasn't just cars being stalled out. It was cars being stalled out and potentially getting people underwater, trapping people underwater. That's the worst case of all, is the flash flood emergency. That's essentially where you need to get to the highest place in your home, so to speak, either that or immediately find some other place to go, or even, if need be, get in your attic. I've even seen worse cases where you need to climb onto your roof. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad. Again, flash flood emergencies rarely get issued, but that's the point I'm trying to get at. Flash flood emergency is the top tier. So, to go over things one more time. Advisory, warning, and emergencies all are happening now. Watch is issuing for something that could happen later down the road. Advisory, just a little bit of flooding is happening. We're noticing maybe some puddles in some roads, but nothing more than that. Flash flood warning, that's when you have the street flooding, usually, but it doesn't cause much more than that here for the most part. Just a good amount of, what you see with like a few little minor rivers on the roadways, but nothing that nothing that blows your mind or affects, the house, so to speak. If you have a flash flood emergency, though, again, that's the top tier. That's when you have some of those flash floodings issues not just affecting the streets, but getting up to homes, up to cars that are just parked, that kind of thing. So that's the differences between all of that. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, any questions, feel free to leave it on our YouTube chat. But anyways, thank y'all for watching on YouTube. I do want to mention our YouTube chat today is actually, I shouldn't say our chat, but our YouTube live stream, a little more active than normal here for the day today, which I greatly appreciate. Thank y'all very much for watching. I appreciate anybody for watching, period. It's just me talking about the weather. Nerding out about the weather here for 30 minutes. That's the end of our time here for the day today. Again, thank you for watching First Alert Weather Breakdown. For a preview of tomorrow, Tropics is going to be on the mind here for tomorrow. Now, I will say, just give you a quick brief overview, there is actually no area of interest at all right now in the tropics, but we're going to go into why there is no area of interest in the tropics. What exactly is holding us from forming a tropical system, from forming anywhere around the Atlantic Ocean, including the Gulf itself. And we're going to go into a tropical forecast more in depth here for tomorrow. Again, there's no issues now, but we'll explain as to why there's no issues here for tomorrow. But that'll be with meteorologist CJ Cartledge. Meteorologist CJ Cartledge will be on and will be your host here for tomorrow's episode of First Alert Weather Breakdown. I will be back on Thursday. I'll be back on, I got to 2-day vacation from I'll still be on the morning shows, but I got a 2-day break away from this podcast before I will be coming back on Thursday. I'll be having an interview for you then. That'll be pretty cool. But as for the next 2 days, CJ Cartledge has you covered with all the latest and greatest weather info. He's great. Great friend of mine. Anyways, you have a great rest of your day. CJ's actually working later today, believe it or not, if you want to support him. He's on the 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock shows. I will be back on the noon show in just an hour to give you another maybe not full forecast. As I said, we do this mainly because we don't have the full time on the news show to go over everything weather-wise, so to speak. So, anyways, we'll see you then, or join us tomorrow, 10:30, First Alert Weather Breakdown. CJ Cartledge will be your host with the Tropics. Be there, be square. Most importantly, be weather aware. Stay cool, especially the next few days. It's going to be rough. But we can do it. Summer standards. We're in late July. We're getting through it. Anyways, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.